Hello, true duelists. My name is my name, and you can't have it. Welcome to the New Card Report. It's been a little under a year since Age of Overlord dropped in the TCG and gave us everyone's favorite card series with Snake Eye and Diabellstar and the Sinful Spoil series of cards, which, fun fact, have only been met with praise and joy and not a single comment that the game is dying. And so now in Rage of the Abyss, Konami is following it up with even more Sinful Spoils cards and a new archetype related to Diabellstar. So let's take a look at the Azamina archetype. I always want to say amazing. Azamina archetype with no main deck monsters and a quick play spell to summon some fusion monsters out. People liked that a lot too. Azamina Rea Silvera is our first fusion monster looking real dope with those wolves back in action. A level 6 Dark Illusion fusion with 1900 attack and 1500 defense. The materials to summon this are any illusion monster and any light spellcaster. While on the field, any battle damage your other Azamina monsters inflicts will be doubled, and if it is destroyed, you can add any Sinful Spoils trap card from your deck to your hand, which are effects that are fine. Nothing exceptional, but certainly okay, and it's even better that it's okay because the last effect is the actual good one, as you contribute this card on the field to negate a card or effect, and that is of course as a lovely quick effect. It doesn't destroy when it negates, but a negate is in fact a negate, which is a good thing. The saving grace is that it's not super duper generic, although it definitely can be played in Chimera, or as Abel Cuvier put it in the Season 2 opening episode of Batman Beyond, Chimera. How did they fuck up that bad? Either way, it's not too hard to put a light spellcaster into Chimera. There are things like Quem, or Cartesia, and granted Cartesia can only summon level 8s, but you can use it to summon out, say, Magnum or something to that effect, and then use a regular poly with, you know, Cartesia as material to make this. So it's not the most natural thing in the world to make, but it isn't the most difficult thing to make either. Regardless, I know that this is going to be hard to believe, regardless of whether it's played in its own archetype or in Chimera, it is in fact good. The Omni Negate is in fact good. Startling, I know. Azamina is up next, and that is in fact how you pronounce it. That's the intended pronunciation of the name, and no, I will not be repeating it. This is another level 6 Dark Illusion fusion with 2000 attack and 2400 defense that also needs any illusion and any light spellcaster as material. If fusion summoned, you can add any Azamina or Sinful Spoils card from your deck to your hand, and while on the field, it will make your opponent's monsters lose 500 attack and defense for each Azamina monster you control. Impressive. It also searches on destruction much like the wolves do to add a Sinful Spoil spell from your deck to hand instead. Again, makeable in Chimera, but with far less reason to unless you're going all in on an Azamina engine as well. It has the search effect that you Bell decks dream of from what I'm told, and it floats into a spell card, so it searches on destruction, which is fine, okay? The main thing I'm taking away from all of this is that those ankles are fucking thin. The entire leg of this monster, thin as shit. Okay, I'm being serious. If you cross this thing in basketball, you're breaking the ankles, you're breaking the shins, you're breaking the knees, you're breaking that pair of TWIX. It is calling extremities, because my God, those things are fucking thin. As a card, it's fine, and as a monster, it's so fucking brittle, it should immediately see a doctor. That is not okay. Azamina Sol Erisikthan is quite a name, and another level 6 Dark Illusion fusion. This one has 2700 attack and 0 defense, and instead will need any illusion at any fiend monster, making it very splashable in Chimera. On fusion summon, it can target any card on the field and send it to the grave, which is, you know, cool because it's like a shitty fusion Midgirsu. It also has an effect during each standby phase to add an Azamina or Sinful Spoils card from your grave back to your hand. Hey man, at least it looks cool. In this deck, it's really solid to get back your spell and traps maybe on your own turn, maybe if you can summon it on the opponent's turn type of meme. And for removal, it's not the strongest nor the weakest in the world. It doesn't destroy, but it does target. It's fine. I think it's a good one of, be it in the deck or maybe in your binder, because it does look, factually speaking, cool as shit. And last up for the fusions today is Azamina Moa Regina. And who couldn't use Moa Regina? Am I right, my fellow Saskatchewanians? It's another Dark Illusion fusion, but this one's level 8. It has 3,000 attack and 2,000 defense. It will need any illusion monster and a level 6 or higher fiend to summon out, and can once per turn revive an illusion monster from your grave that isn't a copy of itself. It also has an effect when an Azamina or Sinful Spoils card or effect is activated to target 2 cards on the field and destroy them. And that's actually up to 2 cards and a quick effect, so it's pretty damn good, methinks. And I mean, it can revive your negate, since the negate doesn't need to be fusion summoned, so you can just bring back the wolves for another negate after using it on your or your opponent's turn. And you've got an up to double pop. And yeah, it's up to. I've been playing with Ragnarika cards in a desperate attempt to, peak with B Trooper, and have thrown in Ragnarika, and that Link 5 needing to target 2 monsters specifically is kind of yucky, so I'm very jealous of that. But yeah, the boss monster for this deck is good. Could it be better by having made the effect to revive a quick effect as well to get back that negate ASAP? Yeah, I'm sure, but it doesn't need to be that good. We don't need more negates to that level in this game. No, instead what we need is an explanation for what the hell it is I'm looking at. I see wings and leg-like coverings on this thing. I'm just not really convinced that that is the head that's there. I mean, I assume it is, but I don't know. So you can tell me what this is exactly, preferably in a descriptor that isn't that White Woods monster but corrupted, and I'll move on to covering some spell cards. Sacred Azamina is the normal spell card of the deck that will reveal any Azamina fusion monster in your extra deck, and then sends 1 Sinful Spoils card from your hand or field to the grave for every 4 levels it has, and it will then summon out that revealed fusion monster as a fusion summon. Weird. It also has an effect in your graveyard to target an Azamina monster in your grave or on your field, shuffle that card into the deck, and then it'll add itself back to your hand. Now, to answer the immediate question, 4 every 4 levels means that it's only 1 for every 4 levels. So in plain speak, the 3 level 6 fusion monsters only need you to send 1 single Sinful Spoil card, since they don't meet 2 level 4s, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? 4 and 4 is 8, but 4 and not 4 is less than 8. Is math simple? I might be having a stroke. Either way, you only need to send 1 Sinful Spoil for the level 6 fusions and 2 Sinful Spoils for the level 8 fusion, put in very plain terms, which is a lot better than needing to, shove these into a White Woods deck and get the exact materials, or a Chimera deck, which you very obviously can, and that's doable, but this is very notable because the fusion summon effect is not once per turn, and you can do so by using those spell and trap cards, which is pretty darn neat. The recovery effect is a hard once per turn, but you can get as many fusions as you can get out of it, so if you open multiples, it's maybe not bad. I think it's a really, really solid card, and it even has some funky Majora's Mask-esque shit going on in that thing in the red on there. Am I talking crazy? Almost certainly. But maybe I think the core from this, after having brought up Batman Beyond and Majora's Mask in one video, is that I should maybe consume media made after the year 2000. Chimera. Azamina Ophelitis is probably not how I just skim read that word, but whatever. This is another fusion spell, and it's a quick play, as mentioned at the beginning of this video. It also works the exact same way as the previous fusion spell, revealing an Azamina monster from your extra deck, sending a Sinful Spoils card from your hand or field to the grave, and then summoning that monster out as a fusion summon, and of course needing 1 spell for the 6s and 2 spells for the level 8. It also has an effect in the graveyard as well. By banishing this, you can special summon an Azamina monster from your graveyard. Both of them are hard once per turns on this effect because they learned after having made El Shaddai fusion and then forgetting when making Full Metal Foes fusion, but now they've remembered again for this one, so that's good to know. It's obvious enough why a quick play fusion for a deck with a fusion monster that has a negate is good, but since this is being quirky and sending their Sinful Spoil spell and trap to get your fusion summons out, you can of course send a card that has already been activated, not unlike with Forbidden Droplet. I'm saying in the draw phase, you can in fact activate Wanted to search Diabellstar, then chain this and summon out Nib Insurance off Summon 1 before you've even entered your standby phase, and then, searching for more fusion fodder with Diabellstar in your main phase. So yeah, I'm gonna call it good, and I'm gonna have to also come to the terms with the fact that we now have nib-proof combos off of one summon, and that I guess that was probably inevitable, but fuck, man. Fuck. Azamina Hammerita is a great name for a trap card, and the only trap card that they have, so hoorah. And just to change things up a little bit, this card will let you reveal an Azamina fusion monster from your extra deck and then summon it by using Sinful Spoil cards as material. But this one will instead shuffle Sinful Spoil cards from your grave or banishment instead of sending them from the hand or field, so that's crazy. This is of course treated as a fusion, and it also has the grave effect to banish this from your grave and let you set any Sinful Spoil spell or trap card from your grave to your field, but you won't be able to activate that set card this turn. It's not bad. It'll recycle your spell and trap, and can even get your banished ones back as well, since some Sinful Spoil cards do that. It's also, fusion summoning on the opponent's turn more easily or justifiably or whatever, than the quick play spell can, depending on, on turn 2. And of course that means that the Midgirsu is a little better off for that. And it's searchable off Legatron, the Broken Heels, so it's at least playable. Art is pretty cool too, even if it's funny that the only thing that this deck spell and trap can do is fusion summon. But don't worry, because there is one more bonus card for this deck as well. Sinful Spoil's Deception is a continuous spell that is good for this deck as well, and by good for I mean meant for. This will let you tribute any monster from your hand or field to search any Azamina card, and if a monster is sent to your opponent's grave while you control an Azamina monster, you can burn 1500 damage to your opponent and gain 1500 for yourself, because every deck needs an alt-win condition in the current time rules. The last effect will activate in the end phase if it was sent from the grave from being face up in your spell and trap card zone specifically, and it will set itself back onto your field. Now, it's probably smart to make it so that it only resets itself if it was set once it was face up, because otherwise you could fuse with it and then set it with the trap and fuse with it again. And then it would set itself a second time, not off the trap, but off its own effect, so let's say I get it. It probably wouldn't be too crazy to be able to do that, but I at least respect a deck being good, but also still having some limitations. I'm fond of that from time to time. But this with Diabellstar can now get access to your entire Azamina line, more or less, and it directly helps the deck beyond just getting materials with it. So now Diabellstar was absolutely the playable one before, but now it's Turbo Staple mandatory, which is, fun fact, the lone level above playable in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh, because this is not a game of reason. All in all, it seems pretty good to me, I think. I'm far from an expert, but these are pretty goddamn splashable for any deck playing Diabellstar already, and it will give a deck a negate and one or two kinds of removal depending on how all in you go on these extra deck monsters, be it just the Diet Midgirsu or the boss monster level 8. You could argue that it's hindered by being all extra deck fusions, since if your extra deck's tight, maybe you can't find room for it, but realistically it's made better by being extra deck, because it just means any deck can tech in Diabellstar and some of these cards, and bada boom, you've got access to some pretty solid fusion monsters, a negate and a disruption if nothing else. Not to mention, there's now new good Sinful Spoil cards, which means we can ban original Sinful Spoils and not have to care about killing Diabellstar and the lore. It's fantastic! Remember when people were looking forward to the Year of Fire because fire was such an underrepresented, attribute? I don't. Truthfully, I see a lot of use for them in Chimera, and probably White Woods as well, but I'm someone who plays Chimera actively, more or less, so I'm a little more focused on that deck. Not to mention, Chimera's already got the level 6s, this new Azamina's got 6s, and because they both have some amount of Fiend synergy, Fiendsmith can be teched in as well. I predict that they'll show up in the meta in some capacity, in some amount somewhere, and as someone who likes the wolves, I'm mostly okay with that, until they start negating my shit, at which point I am immediately calling PETA. And so that's it, all I've got. Thank you, as always. Go to the LIFD for the sponsorship, as always. If you want a display, get one today. Promo code YGOStrats15 for 15% off, or click the link in the description of this video. Thank you to the LIFD for the support, as always. And yes, I still don't have Diabellstar, because at this point, I'm just waiting for the fucking tins. And when she's one of the 400 goddamn cards in those tins, I will be able to get it for $3.50 off its current price. Truly good bang for my buck, not unlike the deal with the LIFD display. So yeah, gotta enjoy the Birdmen. Enjoy the Birdmen. in the display. I'm done with it. That's it. Craig Fee. Hit subscribe, impress your smoking Italian wife, become a true duelist, eat a bag of chips, and have a great day. I'll see you next time. Azamina Hamarita is the last trap card and the only trap card and the first trap card all in all. It's a powerful thing in that regard.